Hi everybody, this is Pam with Jesus Junk Journals, and we are getting ready to work on our Book of John journal again. In this project, we're going to use page 6 from the add-on. And we're going to mainly concentrate on these two flaps right here. But we're also going to cut these out and just add to our ephemera. And I think that what I'm going to do first is I'm going to stamp some, or stencil some things on here, because these flaps, particularly the top flap, when you open it up, it'll show, and you want something pretty on the inside of it. You could glue, I could just glue a piece of paper on here. I might do that. I might do that on those two. And then on these two, I'm going to stamp them. So what I'll do is I'm going to cut this bottom line. And what you're going to need for today's project is either some little sacks, little bags, or you can make your own little bags. And we're going to look at that and talk about it, and hopefully I don't scare you off and make it look harder than it is, because it's not hard. But first things first, let me pull a few stencils and my ink out and stencil these. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to try and do it in this little, I don't know why I always do this. Everything's always, it's a little bitty space. I've got my inks divided into 3 categories, mainly the greens, kind of the oranges and reds, and then the purples and blues. I pulled a couple of stencils, and let's see, what have I got going on here? Pink. Okay. All right, well, I think I can get away with doing green, so I'm just going to get my crushed olive out here. Oops. And there. Just, well, I always like to use 2 colors when I'm stenciling. So I'm going to use my Lucky Clover, the kind of a blue-green and a yellow-green. It's one of my favorite combinations. I'm sure if you've watched me for very long, you know that. I use them a lot. Do that, and just kind of mix it up. And let's see, how far over does that go? Starts to edge over into that. I'm gonna just do this pattern since I have these out. And I think I could probably just get away with doing green on all the way across, actually. So I might as well just do that, because this is not a stenciling video. This is a different thing. So I'm just going to do this. My main purpose is I just don't want, I'm just going to kind of go over that too. And I just don't want white on the backs of those. So that serves that purpose, and I like those colors, so it makes me happy. Okay, so now I'm going to I'll cut these out, and then I'm going to cut these out. Do I want to do that? Maybe I want to glue paper over it first. I am going to just glue, I've got my jelly plate paper that I've made, just extra sheets of my printing when I jelly plate print, and I think that this goes pretty well with that. So I'm going to glue this on and then cut it out. So using my PVA, pH neutral PVA glue. You can use art glitter glue, or, oops, I don't need to put glue all over everything. Anyway, you can use Barely Art glue, or whatever glue you want to use. This is a very similar type of glue. I get it on Amazon. It's archival, and it doesn't have a lot of water in it, so it doesn't pucker. There. Now, I can cut these out. Hopefully the paper will be on the back, and I can always glue around the edges if I need to. So let me cut these out and these out, and then I'll come back. Okay, I've got them cut out. I inked these so you can see how these came out. They look pretty cute. And so now I'm going to just finish these tags so we can put them in our box. So there's a couple ways you could do it. I've got a small hole punch that, since these are small and delicate, I can just punch a hole, and I have this baker's twine that I can just add to it and tie it. And that can be the way I finish it, which I like that a lot, and we'll probably do that on several of these. But you could also, just for the sake of showing the difference, let me get my other hole punch, do it like we do all of them, and punch a bigger hole. Especially if this is the only size punch you have, go ahead and punch it like that. You can either leave it like that or you can use the circles. Let's see, I don't know if I have, since I have green on the other side, I'm going to go ahead and use green on this side and put a circle on it. And might as well put a circle on the back side. And then put a little piece of ribbon in it. And I might just use green on this. So let me find a green. I'm running out of this color. And I haven't found that color for a while. So I hope I do soon because I really like it. It's probably my favorite one. Okay. Come here. And so there's that with the ribbon on it. However you want to finish them, I think I will probably go ahead and do the small one, at least for a couple of them. I've got a lifetime supply of this green baker's twine, that's for sure. I think I got that on the sale rack at a Hobby Lobby or somewhere. It was really cheap. Yeah, that's pretty cute. Okay, and then this one. Okay, and then that ties into that. So I think we're good on those. All right, and then finally, we can get to our main project today. And that is these little sack pockets. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm gonna pull I have a kit out on Etsy. Well, two kits, of course. I always have the main kit, and then I have the add-on kit for a faith planner. And this is my faith planner. And this is the only time I have included this in a project. So let me figure out where I put it. Because I want to look at it and make sure that I do this right. Here it is. Okay, so what I put this in here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this with some sacks. So on this one, what I did is I had these sacks that look like leopard print. My sister gave them to me. Aren't they cute? And it's a 5x7, it says, paper sack. And it doesn't have any gusset on the side. It's just a flat fold sack. And so basically all you do is you cut the end out of it and you fold it in half, and then you glue it, and we'll do that here in a little bit. But that's what you need, are at least 2 sacks. Well, you know, who has sacks exactly the right size? Probably not everybody. So I got to thinking about it, and I looked to see what I had, and I have these. I got at Hobby Lobby, and these would work. They're just brown, but they're very heavy. That's fine. Stiff brown paper, but I got to thinking, you know, I could, and here's some little ones that I had, but of course that wouldn't be nearly big enough. So getting the right size and getting the paper you want, why not make your own, is what I was thinking. So I'm going to try to do that. What we want is some paper that's thin, that's similar to these bags, if you're going to make your own, which is what I'm thinking I'm going to do. So I pulled some different paper out, and I've got this package of handmade paper that's very thin. I think this would work really well. Got it on Amazon, and so I want to see, I've got blue, green, let's see if I have any, you get like this array of colors. So I'm going to pull, here's the flap. I'm going to go ahead, even though that's kind of matchy-matchy, I'm going to go ahead and use that. So what we need to do is, what I could do is pull this apart and make a template out of it. And it looks like I'm going to need 2 sheets of paper because I need 2 of these bags, and then we're going to fold them in half. I'm going to make a bag out of this piece, and then I need to pull another piece out that sort of goes with this. There's this piece that has kind of grass in it. I'll do that one. Okay, so all this bag is basically a tube with a seam in it, and then they've glued the bottom shut. Only we would have to cut it open if we were going to make this, so all we're going to do is make the tube, fold it in half. So let's see if it works. So let's see how, if I fold this in half, it's just a little bit too big. Unless I overlap it, looks like I need to get rid of about ½ an inch, so about an inch overall. So if I overlap it, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut off ½ an inch, and then that should still give me room for a glue strip. You can watch me and see if it works. So this is, if you're using other kind of papers, this is just 8.5 by 11 papers. So I'm going to cut ½ an inch off. And actually, let me get a cutting board. I happen to have a cutting board underneath my working tray there. So I'm just going to line it up on here and cut ½ an inch. Okay, so I'm going to bring my working tray back, and I'm going to glue this. Okay, so there's, I guess, is there a right side to that? This has more texture. I'm just going to say this is the outside. So I'm going to fold this so that the seam is in the middle or close to the middle. And let me look at this. I see how wide how much room I have. And all I need is to make sure it's a little bit smaller than this flap. So let me line it up here. And that looks like it would work fine. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that. Make sure I didn't get it too wide, barely. Okay, so I'm going to glue that. So we've just got this kind of tube with this glue seam down the middle. So now we're going to do the same thing with this one. I'm just going to kind of pull it over to the center, thereabouts, and fold it. And fold this over and just line it up with this tab, so I make sure I get it just slightly smaller. See how that goes. Make sure, again, it's just barely not bigger. Okay, so I got that folded. So now I'm going to glue. I'm going to put glue here. And here. Like that. I'll make sure it doesn't glue inside if it goes through that paper. I don't know if it will go through. Feels like it might, so I'm going to separate it. And there's my tube for that one. Okay, so there's my two. So let me let that dry for a second. And while that's drying, what I'm going to do is fold this. And I think this one's feels pretty dry. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this one in half. Now what I can do, just for fun, I've got these scissors that cut fun edges. So if I want to do, like that one looks pretty fun. Let's see if I can cut. I better do one at a time. Just cut a design on the edge. This paper is pretty fibery. It's not like in these scissors. Ooh, okay. That might not have been a good idea. If you have just plain paper, that would probably be great. But I think what that did was make it pretty raggedy. Okay, I might just do that on one side. Well, then it'll just look like a mistake, so I might as well do both. This way it looks like I meant to do it. And you can trim off whatever sticks out. So that just kind of gives it that rough edge, kind of like a little sack has a lot of times. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fold this one in half. Come on now. Got a piece of fiber in there that doesn't want to fold. Okay, so let me cut this one. Okay, I'm going to take these scissors and trim off that. There. Okay, and then do this side. Starts out pretty well, and then when it gets up to the top, it just doesn't like it. All right, trim it off, give it a haircut. Okay, so now we have our two bags. I want to score this tab and this tab. So get my scoreboard back out and line those little gray lines up. They're kind of hard to see. And those are going to be your glue tabs. There we go. And fold it. And it's, for me, it's a double layer because I glued paper on the back. So I'm going to fold it that way and then fold it back this way and then use my folding bone. And it's actually what I could do. I'm going to go ahead and cut that paper off of that glue tab because it's not really glued that well anyway. So I'm going to cut that paper back off. So this one I cut the paper off, the other one I didn't. Now this is the top one, and I'm going to rescore that. Just make sure it folds. On that line. There. Okay, and then I'm going to go over it with this bone folder. Okay. So this is going to be the bottom, and this is going to be the top. And we're going to do the little circle closure. So you're going to want 4 circle closures, and each circle closure should be at least 2 layers of cardstock circles. So let me show you what I mean. So I have 1-inch circle punch that is you really need if you don't have one. And I keep them in this little container that my friend Carrie gave me. So these are just plain white ones. So when I have extra paper, that's what I use, is just use them for. And then I take them and I glue 2 together. That's about the thickness you want. And so this has already been glued, so that's one thickness. One circle. And I'm looking to see if I have any that I like that go together. I kind of like that hope. Where'd that go? There it is. Okay. All right, so those can be, so this is 2 layers of paper. No, that's actually 1. So I got to glue one on the back of that one. This already has 2 layers, and then I need another one underneath that's 2 layers, and another one under that one that's 2 layers. And by the way, brown paper looks really good doing that too, especially after you ink it. Let me build my little bottom ones. Start out and glue just 2 plain ones together, and I try to get the glue out to the edges. Oh, that's not plain, that's green. Oh well. So I'm going to kind of spin it around just to distribute the glue more evenly. This one's got 2. This one is a base, so it'll have 2. So move it around and spin it around so the glue gets distributed. And then this one is my top one, and it's needs one on it to make it more sturdy. So what you end up is with is 4 circles. Turn that over. And then you're going to stack them 2 and 2, and one will go on the bottom and one will go on the top, and you can wrap a string around them to shut them. And to do this, you're going to need the little brads. Okay, I'm back. Every time I start to do something, I have to kind of declutter because I have layer upon layer that builds up instantly. I'm sure you do too. I'm going to go back to my book binding kit and get my awl. You can also use a paper punch. You can use a crocodile and punch a little hole in the middle of these if you want to, but I like to use the awl and just punch a hole. And then these are Tim Holtz long fasteners, and they come in 3 colors. But they're just little brads, so whatever little brads you have that you want to use. So I'm going to pull out 2 of those, and then we will decide where we want these. Actually, it's better to do these after you glue the flaps in. So let's do that first. So let me find where I want to put it. So I'm trying to distribute these special feature things so they're not all in the same signature. This might be a good place because I need to cover this bird up. So that would work. So if I glue this in here and this in here, and the blue-green goes really well with that. So I think that'd be a good choice. And I'm also going to take my corner punch and do these edges here, round those off on both of these flaps so that they don't catch on anything any more than necessary. And I also might just ink this blue one. And then in here too, which I'm getting a little heavier just because I had that white there and I don't want it to show. So I'd rather have distress ink than a flash of white. And this one, I just need to do the inside because it's so dark it doesn't show on the cover. Yeah, so got those inked. Okay, so what we're going to do is glue this on top, and I'm going to put the glue right along the edge, and then of course the rest of the flap gets glued too, but you want to be sure you get your edge. And then I'm going to pull this over to this edge away from the fold so it doesn't bind anything, and I'm going to put it right at the top of the page like that. So there's just a little bit there. That'll be all right. Let me look on the back and make sure I don't have anything hanging over, and I don't. So there's my top flap. So now I want my bottom flap, and I want it to be the same place. So I'm going to go ahead and glue it. And put it right on the edge at the bottom and really close to this edge, like that. And hopefully they line up pretty well. Yeah. Okay, so now we want these circles on here. And so you figure out where you want the circle, and I mean, that looks pretty good to me. I want to center this. This looks like 5 inches, so 2.5 if I can make a mark that will show. Hopefully it'll shine in the light and I can see it. Okay, so I'm going to get my little piece of foam from my Amazon package. I'm going to get my circles. I want to line them up. So I've got these 2 circles lined up, and I'm going to put this in the center, and I'm going to eyeball it. Hopefully I get it fairly close. And then I'm going to take it and put my hand underneath it and try to poke it real carefully through that hole I marked. And then put it, brad through it. Fold them back. And we'll add a piece of washi tape on that here in just a little bit. So now I'm going to do the bottom one. So 2.5 inches over on here. There it is. Okay, so if I want it like here, 2.5 inches is about here. Make a little mark. So I'm going to take my circles and line them up, put them on my foam, and then eyeball it, punch a hole in the middle of them. Get them lined up first. Okay, so like that. Now I'm going to come back over here and put my hand under here and just real careful and easy poke that through. And get my brad. Like that. Okay, so now we need a string to put on it, and I'm going to use my wax linen thread that I use when I bind my journals. I'm going to use the dark brown I've got, and I'm going to put it in between those 2 circles and tie a double knot or triple knot or whatever you need to tie. Tie it real tight and it'll go down to the middle. Probably in hindsight that hope doesn't look that great because it's got that big rivet in the middle of it, but that's all right. I'm going to let it go and trim it so it doesn't show. Take it down here, put it in between the 2, and then just kind of wrap it a couple of times till it looks the way you want it to look, and then trim it. You've got that on there. One of my favorite closures. I think that looks so cool, and it's really easy. So now we've got the closure. Let's put our little pockets in it. So I'm going to open it up. And I'm going to take my first pocket and I'm going to glue it to, actually I'm going to glue it to the back across the top and then right down the center. So make kind of a T with your glue, like that. And then I'm going to put it right down there at the bottom. Make sure it's covered by your, and see that glue goes through. So lift it up so it doesn't glue it shut. Give it a little air and it'll be okay. And then you've got these pockets, and so to pop them open, all you do is put a line of glue in the center like that, and you glue these two bags together in the center, and then you make sure they open so they don't stick together. Let that glue go. So now you're ready to glue this one in, and I'm going to put just a little bit of glue, just a little bit on the edge, and then it goes on the front, so I'm going to glue it across the top here like we did on the back, only now we're going to glue it on the front and down the center. And I'm going to glue that one, line it up with this flap and glue it in like that. And then make sure it's not gluing itself shut. So now we just need to glue these two together. So I'll put a line of glue in the middle, and then we're going to glue these together. I'll put a line of glue in the middle, like that, and just put it all in one, like that. And we have our pockets. We have our 4 pockets. All right. And so now, just little finishing touches, I'm going to put a piece of washi tape across the top. I think I'll just use this because it's the same color. So a little bit of glue because washi's not archival, which just means it's not going to last 100 years. The glue will fail sooner rather than later, so you put glue. Like that, and then because I used it there, I'm going to use it up here so it looks more intentional, and just put a piece over that, like that, and we're done. You can tie it shut, and there we have it. I really like this type of a feature. I think it's really cute, and I need to do it more often, I think, especially now that I've tried making my own bags and it works fine. That was really super easy. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching, and come back on the next video and we'll go on to the next feature for our John journal. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.